You woke up, brewed some coffee, opened your banking app, and felt a slight, almost imperceptible sense of relief seeing the familiar numbers on the screen, which you consider your fortress and your guarantee of a future. Your savings, your safe island of stability for which you paid with years of your life, sleepless nights, and burned nerves, seem untouched at first glance, but this is the greatest, most insidious, and dangerous illusion of our time, designed to keep you calm while the trap snaps shut. While you slept and dreamed of a hard-earned rest or the future of your children, the invisible, cold, and absolutely ruthless hand of the state apparatus has already reached deep into your pocket, counting your every cent as its own future prey. Do you really believe that you own this money just because it appears on your phone? That is a mistake that could ultimately cost you everything you have built. In today's world, the concept of private property has turned into a convenient fairy tale, a bright and deceitful wrapper fed to us so that we keep spinning the wheel of this system without asking unnecessary questions or trying to break free. In reality, the government and central banks view your accounts not as your rightful reward for hard work, but as their own personal reserve fund, which they have already mentally allocated for their needs, wars, and failed social programs. They have a detailed plan, and the tax noose is not just a loud epithet to grab attention in a newsfeed, but a real, launched, and fully operational bureaucratic mechanism that is slowly, notch by notch, depriving you of financial oxygen. Your accounts, tax inspectors, and the soulless algorithms of central banks do not care at all about your personal sense of justice or your life difficulties. They need your resources to patch the endless holes in their failed economic experiments, and today you will learn exactly how they plan to legally seize everything you have accumulated, turning your fortune into dust to the applause of those who have not yet realized that they are next in this endless line for slaughter. Let's be brutally honest and take off the rose-colored glasses. Open, crude confiscation of assets, where people in uniforms come to your house and carry out your safe, is far too primitive and noisy a method for the sophisticated 21st century, as it causes unnecessary anger, social explosions, and a burning desire in society to organize collective resistance. Modern robbery looks much more elegant, it is polite, it is deeply bureaucratized, it smells of the fresh ink of new bills, and it is always neatly packaged in beautiful, glossy slogans about social responsibility, the common good, and the fair redistribution of wealth for the sake of saving the planet or the economy. The first, thinnest, and incredibly insidious layer of this noose is inflation, which is a hidden tax on your patience, your thriftiness, and your future, one that is never written on official tax receipts but which you submissively pay every single morning at the store. Every day that your savings sit in the bank at a stable and laughable interest rate, their real purchasing power melts faster than ice under a scorching tropical sun, leaving you with candy wrappers instead of capital. The government prints trillions of new notes, effectively diluting your share in the global economy and devaluing every hour of your past labor, every drop of sweat, and every minute spent away from your family. They inflate the money supply to incredible proportions to pay off their own enormous debts with cheap, worthless paper, and it is you who pays for this grand celebration of life through exorbitant prices at the gas stations, inflated bills at the supermarkets, and the sudden inability to afford things that were accessible to you just a couple of years ago without any effort. You are forced to work twice as hard, run twice as fast, and save on basic joys, but in the end, you stay in the same place or rapidly slide backward because the system is designed so that you can never accumulate a surplus. It is the perfect trap where your survival depends on your ability to endlessly pedal the bike, and where saving money in the traditional sense has become a form of slow and painful suicide for your family capital. Let's dive even deeper into this legal and financial hell to see the outlines of the most sophisticated control tool, the tax on unrealized gains, which sounds like a boring term but is the legalized robbery of your future potential. Imagine an absurd situation: your house has increased in value due to market fluctuations, or the stocks you hold in hopes of retirement have become more expensive on paper in your investment report. You haven't sold anything, you don't actually have this money in your hands, you haven't received a single cent of real income to buy food or clothes, but the government is already at your doorstep with an outstretched hand and a court order. It demands that you pay a real tax on that wealth which exists solely in virtual reports and could disappear tomorrow at the first market downturn. And if you don't have a huge reserve of spare cash to pay this insane bill, you will be forced to sell your real assets, your home, or your shares in a business to satisfy the system's appetite. You are literally forced to give up physical, tangible property to pay a tax on imaginary, paper profit that you haven't even realized. It is a brilliant and extremely cruel way to ensure that no single person in society can ever accumulate enough capital to become truly autonomous and independent of the state redistribution machine. The system is not interested in you being wealthy, confident, and free in your decisions. The system vitally needs you to be bogged down in perpetual debt, bound by mortgages, dependent on government benefits, and as obedient an executor of someone else's will as possible. Remember, an independent person with capital is a direct threat to the stability of the regime, but a person with empty pockets and a burden of debt is a perfect, predictable cog that will never dare to raise its head. And it is at this very moment that the main, final tool of total control over humanity takes the stage: central bank digital currencies, known as CBDCs, which are the crown of the tax noose and its logical, terrifying conclusion. Imagine money that has a pre-programmed expiration date. If you don't spend it by the end of the month on goods approved by the government, it simply vanishes from your account without a trace. Imagine money that is technically impossible to spend more than 10 kilometers from your home or on products that exceed your individual carbon emission limit. Imagine that the government can press a single button in a central office and instantly block all your savings just because your social score fell below an acceptable level, you exceeded your electricity consumption limit, or you simply expressed public dissatisfaction with a new state policy. This is not a sci-fi scenario from another dystopian movie. It is a frightening reality being actively tested and implemented in the world's largest economies right now, preparing the ground for a new era of digital slavery. With the introduction of such systems, taxes, fines, and any levies will be deducted from your account automatically, without your knowledge, without your consent, and without the slightest legal possibility to challenge this action in court. Any error in the algorithm's program code will instantly become your personal catastrophe, and you won't be able to buy even bread or life-saving medicine until you pass through all the circles of humiliating bureaucratic hell, proving your loyalty and righteousness to a machine that has and can have no heart. Your savings, which you have accumulated for decades, will finally turn into conditional digital units in a government app that can be voided at any second at the whim of an anonymous official.